All right, questions for head coach Derek Fisher. We will start with David Yapkowitz with Next Hoops.
Hey, Coach. Two solid efforts, back to back here, your first consecutive wins of the season. What have you seen differently, in these two games in terms of, your team being able to hold off opponents' runs that, you didn't see early on?
Well, I think we're continuing to build connection as a team. We have several new players and personalities that are contributing a lot to what we're trying to build right now. And that takes a little bit of time, as we continue to get in better condition, game condition. I think we're able to play harder for longer, and that's helping us out a lot. I also think that we're trusting each other more with the basketball in terms of making the right play at the right time with our passing, and it's energizing our defense. And I think it's helping us to get more stops on the defensive end, and we're able to take advantage, when we get out into the open court and really continue to build that type of momentum in the game. So those things come to mind. I do think our starts have been better than the first few games, and so we're not playing from behind. And over the course of the game, we're finding ways to crack it open and get some separation.
Miriam Swanson, LA Daily News.
Congrats on the win, Derek. About the good starts you guys have been having. How much does it help to have Sydney and Brittney out there for that?
Yeah, I think a few games ago, even before TRP went out, we really, I think after the Seattle game, I think we really were able to get a couple of days of practice after that Saturday game, and we didn't play again until Wednesday. And I think since then we've gotten off to more solid starts. And then, I think Sydney's done a phenomenal job just going right into the lineup and fitting right in with that group. She started several games with that group last season. So I don't think it was much of an adjustment for her. Her teammates are trusting her with the basketball, and she's making a lot of the right plays. And, I thought that Brittney Sykes' energy and intensity tonight was really a catalyst to why we were able to be so good defensively. She started the game right away with bad intentions for the person that she was guarding. And teammates respond to that when they see that happening on the court. And we need that from her and from everybody in order to be the type of defensive team we're capable of being.
Sabrina Merchant, SB Nation.
Hey, Coach, you've mentioned before that Riquna said that she was more comfortable coming off the bench, but you guys had to start her, because of your other situations. Why do you think it is that she's more comfortable in that role, and what have you seen out of her these last couple of days now that she's been able to play as that sixth woman?
Yeah, I think that for, different players, it's a combination of sometimes kind of just being able to see the game happen for a few minutes, right? Get a feel for the pace of the game, how the game is being called, players that you're going to match up with, their tendencies, things that are happening that you can take into the game. You can see where there might be scoring opportunities or opportunities on defense to do something better than maybe when your teammate is out there. You can enhance what they're doing. And then I think for Riquna specifically, Riquna is such an amazing offensive player and basketball player. And sometimes when you're on the court with all-stars and Hall of Famers, well, she's been an all-star herself, there's just not as much room to operate. And that's not a negative towards anybody, but it just is what it is. And I think in that second group, it gives her a little bit more space to be aggressive offensively without taking opportunities away from Chelsea or Candace or Nneka. And I think for Riquna, that's a good place for her to be. She feels confident, and she's still going to be out there a lot in the first and fourth quarters with those players at times. But as you can see, it's really working out well for her the last few games.
Pavi, H&B Media.
Hey, Coach, great win tonight. You guys have a lot of great individual defenders, but I feel like tonight was a kind of an example of what you guys can be when you all defend as a team, and you guys are all, on the same page. How much of a step in the right direction was that for you guys tonight?
Yeah, no, it's been huge for us the last few games. Like again, we've really, I think these players deserve a lot of credit for being able to receive honest and open, constructive criticism about things that we were seeing in the first 3, 4, 5 ball games, things that we've been able to watch on video, talk about as a group, and then players taking ownership and accountability for their decision making and actions. Coach Latricia Trammell does a great job leading our defensive efforts and coordinating things on that end. Our players trust her, and I trust her. And I think our game plans have been, when we execute them, our game plans have been dialed in. And, it's coming around. And I think that if our roster can continue to commit to the defensive end the way we're showing for more stretches in these games, that makes us a really difficult team to play against because of the offensive talent that we have.
Last question for Coach John W. Davis.
Good evening. It's still Tuesday night here, and it's Wednesday morning there. So that's my question to you. When a game is going to end after midnight, are you really thinking going into that game that like nobody's going to bed until 1 or 2 or later? I really need to expand these rotations if I get an opportunity, because turn around Thursday, we're going to be playing the defending champions, and like you said, less than 36 hours or however many hours it ends up being.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, John. I think you can never guarantee that you can pull it off, but the more games we can find a way to win without stretching our veteran players into the mid 30s or high 30s in order to do that in terms of minutes played. That those are minutes in the bank that hopefully we can rely on when we have to stretch those players to that point. And I think in a season like this, we have the responsibility to our players to not put them at greater risk of injury by just throwing them out there and having them playing through the type of fatigue that just isn't fair to them. So, in some of these games, you've seen me trust bench players for a few minutes longer. You've seen us getting players off the court to get them a few minutes of rest, regardless of what the score is. Because one, we're going to need all of our teammates and players in order to be successful. And you can't substitute game action and game minutes. So to answer your question, hopefully, it's going to be a late night. Recovery is going to be a little shorter. But our players are responsible. They're pros. We'll plan the day accordingly today, not tomorrow. We'll plan today accordingly in terms of, practice and what we do tomorrow or today again. And, try and put ourselves in position to have a chance to win on Thursday night against a good Washington team.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Questions for Brittney Sykes. We'll start with Pavi, H&B Media.
Hey, Brittney. I felt like watching the game coming out, you really kind of took it up on yourself to kind of set the tone, defensively. You were, harassing the ball handler up court. I guess can you just speak to that and kind of just speak about the energy that you tried to, the energy and the activity that you tried to bring from the offset today?
I don't think it's a try. I think it's what was done, and I just happened to be in a position to start tonight, and I knew coming in that, their point guard is their main ball handler for the most part. And I just took it upon myself to just lock down on defense every game, every time I step on that floor, whether it's starting, whether it's coming off the bench. I want to make sure that whenever somebody sees me in the game, they know that the defensive energy is about to turn up a hell of a lot more.
Chris Camello.
Hey, Brittney, great game tonight. Talk about the impact that you and Sydney wanted to have together to kind of fill that void. You talked about the defensive energy, but you and her together, bringing that energy tonight to kind of fill the void left behind by Tierra Ruffin-Pratt.
Well, I think we get a cheat code a little bit when it comes to me and Sid because we're roommates here in the bubble, and we just been learning each other on and off the court, and that off the court chemistry really brings it to the on the court life, and just playing with her is something that I looked forward to once I know I was going to get traded. And I know she's a smart player. A lot of people may mistake her for not being as good as she is, but she's a beast. I mean, you can see it, and to get on the court and share the floor with her, Perfect.
John W. Davis.
I'm glad you mentioned the fact that you feel like this off the court energy or off the court chemistry that you have with Sydney can translate on the court, because I've kind of been seeing that too, because I feel like, you two are developing this friendship and this bond, and, sometimes you may talk about basketball. I'm sure most of the time you don't, but just that little bit of extra friendship really does make a difference.
Yeah, Coach says it all the time, we're learning each other, and when we get that chemistry. Me and Sid, actually, I've known about Sid since the Final Four. Both of our teams went to the Final Four in 2016, so I knew who Sid was coming out of college. And we went in the same round and getting drafted. So, it's one of those things where it's like, you look back and you see everything is just adding up to the point where now that we're teammates. So, that chemistry can go a long way, especially in the playoffs. And, we're playing the same teams twice, and then it goes to playoffs, and we're going to play them some more for, games of 5 or 3. So, that chemistry really comes in clutch.
Last question for Brittney. Sabrina Merchant, SB Nation.
Hey, Brittney. It seems like
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Hey, Brittney. It seems like the starting lineup switch with Sydney in the starting lineup and Riquna on the bench has really worked well for both of them. What have you seen out of, Riquna coming off the bench that just makes her so valuable in that sixth woman role?
Well, everybody know what Bebe can do. When you get on the court, that's somebody who can hold her own weight. She can shoot that ball, shoot the lights out of the ball. She can get to the basket. And, she can be that two-way player for us as well. And, having her come off the bench, if that's what she likes and that's what's working for her, then so be it. We're just trying to make sure we find the niche for everybody on this team. That way, when it gets time for playoffs, there's no questions. We know what we got to do. We know our roles, and we know what we got to execute.
Thank you, Brittney.
Thanks, E. You guys have a good night.
All right, questions for Sydney Wiese. Start with Kevin Dana with Twitter Sports.
Hey, Sydney, congrats on the win. I was just curious, as a team, how much was kind of the alternating wins and losses on your mind? Was there an extra emphasis on, all right, let's get this winning streak going tonight?
I honestly didn't realize that we were winning and losing every other night. I think it was more trying to focus on playing consistently every possession. So even not just thinking about the grand scheme of wins and losses, but throughout the course of a game, are we playing consistently? Are we winning more possessions than the other team? And so I think that was our focus tonight was, yeah, we want to win 2 games in a row and start to get into a rhythm, but we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up every single possession to beat the other team.
Doug Feinberg, Associated Press.
Hey, Sid, can you just talk about the three-point shooting for a minute? You guys hit, I think, 11 threes out of 17, and just how that opens up the offense when you and Riquna are hitting shots from the outside?
Yeah, I think when we can stretch the floor like that, it opens it up for Chelsea to do her thing, to drive and create. And then obviously we have such versatile bigs that they can catch it at the high post, drive, they can go to the low, they can go to the block, they can do whatever. And so if we're hitting from the outside, it makes it really easy for everybody to continue to do what they do. And they bring a lot of attention to themselves anyways because of how good they are. And so it's easy for us because all the bodies are flying towards them, so we just have to make the shots. And so I'm glad that it was clicking. It felt really good out there across the board.
Miriam Swanson, LA Daily News.
Hey, Sid, congrats on the win. Brittney was talking about sort of the off-the-court chemistry that you and she are building in the Wobble and how that helps on the court, and also that she's known about you for a long time back from college when you guys played in the Final Four together. Can you just share a little bit about your perspective on that?
Yeah, Slim and I have crossed paths for a while. Obviously, we were the same draft class, and then in college we did go to the Final Four the same year. We didn't play each other, but we were in the same environment, which is really cool. And then it's been so much fun getting to know her, being on the same team as her as opposed to being on opposite sides of the floor. We live together. We live with Marie, and we spend we spend a lot of time together, and she's hilarious. Like it's fun and easy to live with her, and I'm fortunate to get to know her as a person, and we have a lot of fun out there. She calls me garlic salt, I call her sazon, so we have a great connection, and we're going to continue to build off of that.
Chris Camello.
Sydney, great nicknames, by the way. Talk about what your role has been just getting into the starting lineup and what you feel you need to continue to improve on, or what you want to improve on, I should say.
I think just continuing to be more consistent defensively. There were a couple lapses I know personally that I had tonight. So just keeping it simple on the offensive end, but then also our focus has been defense. And like I said earlier, we want to continue to string possessions together where we are beating the other team, and that will lead to the wins that we want. And so I think that consistency personally and then collectively, that's our focus.
Last question for Sydney Tukney Ewan, LA Times.
So I just couldn't let this go. Why are you garlic salt?
I'm so glad you asked.
Let it
Okay,
go.
so when we first got to the bubble, Slim, I call her Chef Slim. She's a great chef, and I told her that basically what I can do in the kitchen, I use garlic salt. Like I don't know any other seasonings. Garlic salt is what I live off of, and she was like, "Oh no, that will not do." And so she's been teaching me about some more seasonings and different things in the kitchen. And so there's another seasoning it's called sazon. And so she started calling me garlic salt. I call her sazon. We do this, we sprinkle the seasonings into each other's hands, and that's how we operate out there.
Great note to add on. Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you, go Sparks.
All right, questions for Riquna Williams. We'll start with Sabrina Merchant, SB Nation.
Hey, Riquna. It seems like you've really been able to get going these last few games. Is there anything special? Is it coming off the bench? What's been working for you?
I'm just in my comfort zone, honestly. Everybody that know me know I enjoy coming off the bench. It's always been one of my favorites, but I'm also a team player, and I'm going to do whatever the Sparks need me to do to get the job done.
Doug Feinberg, Associated Press. Go ahead,
Hey, Riquna, just to follow up on that, just coach is saying you feel a little more comfortable, you can see the game a little bit and see what's working and what's not. Is that kind of your feeling when you come off the bench?
Oh, absolutely. Man, fish talk. Even when TRP went down, and I was playing well last game, and I went up to the assistant, Coach LT, and I was like, hey, I don't know Fish plans, but make sure I come off the bench even still. And she was like, okay. So definitely a comfort zone.
Tukney and Ewan, LA Times.
Why is the bench your comfort zone? Why do you think you flourish in that role as opposed to a starting role, which seems like something what most people would kind of want for themselves?
Well, I'm not most people. That's the biggest thing. And I just enjoy the game so much, and I get so much joy at changing the tempo of the game, bringing the energy. And if the energy is low, pick it up. If it's high, keep it there, you know.
Kevin Donna, Twitter Sports.
Congrats on the win, Riquna. You guys forced 26 turnovers tonight. What did you like about your defensive intensity?
We're figuring it out. Like we're on the same page with Coach Fisher. We're trusting him. We're trusting each other, and we're all making sure we're on the same page.
Time for two more. Miriam Swanson, LA Daily News.
Hey, Riquna, congrats, girl. So sort of aligns with what you're talking about. Like, you feel comfortable coming off the bench, and then it seems like Sydney's quite comfortable in the starting lineup. Does it feel like the pieces are starting to come together and everyone's sort of finding their niche?
Right, absolutely. Coach Fisher, he always tell us, like, he's going to put us in the best situation possible to help us and help the team. So me and Sid flipping roles has definitely been a positive for us.
Last question for tonight. We'll go back to one more for Sabrina Merchant.
Okay.
Just to piggyback on that defensive thing, coming off the bench, it seems like you get to play a lot with Taya Cooper. What is it like, the two of you in that perimeter? How can you just make things really difficult for other teams?
Be aggressive. And I definitely enjoy playing with Coop. Just her intensity on the ball and when she's tired, I could rotate up there and put her on a wing, and I could fresh up on the ball and vice versa.
Thank you so much, Riquna.
All right, you guys have a great night.